Drawing an image through the window has been a favorite pastime by many, many artists through art history. And if you think of lovely paintings by Matisse, by the Impressionists, by Picasso, using the window frame and the view beyond it is something which is always a very, very special subject. So what we're going to be doing today is deciding, first of all, the orientation of the image. Is it going to be horizontal or is it going to be vertical? And then in your package, you have been given a piece of carbon paper and a thin piece of organza. And I've put a piece of white paper underneath just as a support. So you're going to make a sandwich where you're going to put the paper down onto the with the organza, and then notice that the carbon paper's got two sides, a shiny side and a matte side. You want to take the shiny side and connect it with the organza so that they touch, because this is where the ink is. We don't want to go through a whole process and then find that you've done this beautiful drawing and it hasn't connected because this was not the right way up. So paper, organza, shiny side facing down onto the organza, and then the photograph. And what I'm going to do so that they stay in place is that I'm going to use 3 straight pins and just connect that so that they're not going to shift. And if you don't have straight pins and you have masking tape, that's also a possibility. And so you could just take the masking tape and put it over and seal it so that it's there. Don't want to pin this down. You want to be able to lift it back and forth so that you can see what's happening. So we all remember carbon paper from our youth. In the time before photocopiers. This was the way that images were transferred, and when you typed, the carbon paper was put between the typewriter and the paper, and if you wanted multiple copies, there'd be multiple pieces of carbon paper, and that's the way you'd get duplicate copies. In terms of drawing, you can either draw with a ballpoint pen or otherwise with a soft pencil, and I'm going to experiment with both. You want to put quite a lot of pressure onto your pencil points so that you are able to pick up the ink onto the organza, but it's very much a trial and error thing, and now that this is actually connected, it's firmly in place. I love this image that I'm going to be drawing. It's 2 old chairs that have traveled with me through my life. They were bought at a rummage sale in South Africa, and they've been different colors over the years, and of course they came with us when we immigrated. And here in my new apartment, I just wanted to have a lot of fun with them, so they've got very bright colors and geometric pattern on them, and so I'm enjoying the contrast between the very leafy view of the window, these 2 very formal chairs with their sort of rather fun pattern on them, and then the flowers, which are just so lovely. The peonies this season have been particularly gorgeous, and so they are part of this view through the window. So you're just going to be starting and just gently tracing the image, going over the lines. This is really a time to find all these beautiful lines that are in the drawing, and there's no worry about perspective. It's just softly enjoying these lines, finding the shadows, finding the outlines, and enjoying the marks that you're going to be finding and layering. So it's just a revelry of drawing, and it's finding one line, interconnecting it with the next, and looking down at this view. I've loved this view in all the seasons, and when I look out of the window, I see the people who are walking down below in the street. I wonder about who they are, about their conversations, how their lives are now with COVID. And so there's been a lot of wandering that's been happening. And as I draw, I'm finding the top of the chair and just enjoying the marks and the shapes, where I'm just luxuriating in that activity of tracing. I know many of you just love to draw and be much more spontaneous, and this might seem a little bit forced, but at the same time, it's just replicating things that are here, and the shadows as well. So I'm just lifting this up, and you can see that the lines are coming out really beautifully. The blue is nice, it's not as hard as black, and you can now begin to experiment with the shading, the lightness, the darkness, some definite lines. You could ignore lines, you could include lines, and now that you've got the one ink surface picking up onto the organza, you're going to have this very soft drawing, which is going to be layered on top of one of your pages, maybe folded. So many possibilities here for doing the drawing, and just in a few strokes, the beginning of my chairs, my window, and the view beyond. So let's enjoy doing this, and we're going to share our experiences as we go along. It's nice to keep flipping back and forth and seeing how the drawing is evolving, and a shout out to good old carbon paper, and that it can give us some new ideas in drawing again. Enjoy.